Hey crew, it's Bit, and I am back with some more ancient lore. Today we are diving back into Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. We are reading aloud and discussing as we go along the various topics that are brought to light by his ruminations. And it is not the format for everybody, but some people seem to enjoy it, so we're going to continue with it. Before we begin, however, if you are unfamiliar with me, any of my unconventional beliefs, or if at any point in time I lose you with terminology, there are several playlists that are linked in the corner above, as well as the box down below, along with the source material, so that you can go back and understand where I am coming from. With that being said, we are in Book 3, Incarnatum, which is in Austria on the Danube River. Sorry, it's a rainy day and I've got a whole lot of throat stuff going on. So, not just that every day more of our lives is used up, less and less of it is left, but this too. If we live longer, can we be sure our mind will still be up to understanding the world, to the contemplation that aims at divine and human knowledge? If our mind starts to wander, we'll still go on breathing, go on eating, imagining things, feeling urges, and so on. But getting the most out of ourselves, calculating where our duty lies, analyzing what we see and hear, deciding whether it's time to call it quits, all the things you need a healthy mind for, those are gone. So we need to hurry. Not just because we move daily closer to death, but also because our understanding, our grasp of the world may be gone before we get there. Seize the day. Do all that you can to ensure that you are living purposefully, that you are doing the thing that you are meant to do, because there is something that you, in particular, was put on this little rock for. There is a mission for you. It may be several missions, but there is at least one. And you are the only one capable of doing it. Get out there and do it. Do it to the best and the utmost of your ability. Accept all the responsibility and go forward. Don't wait for tomorrow. You may not be able to do it tomorrow. And indeed, if you wait for tomorrow, your mind may be gone. Start today to do the things that you were called for, because only you can do what you were called for. 2. We should remember that even nature's inadvertence has its own charm, its own attractiveness. The way loaves of bread split open on top in the oven, the ridges are just byproducts of the baking, and yet pleasing. Somehow they rouse our appetite without our knowing why. Or how ripe figs begin to burst, and olives on the point of falling, the shadow of decay gives them a peculiar beauty. Stalks of wheat bending under their own weight, the furrowed brow of the lion, flecks of foam on the boar's mouth, and other things. If you look at them in isolation, there's nothing beautiful about them. And yet, by supplementing nature, they enrich it and draw us in. And anyone with a feeling for nature, a deeper sensitivity, will find it all gives pleasure, even what seems inadvertent. He'll find the jaws of live animals as beautiful as painted ones or sculptures. He'll look calmly at the distinct beauty of old age in men, women, and at the loveliness of children. And other things like that will call out to him constantly, things unnoticed by others, things seen only by those at home with nature and its works. This is taking the time to appreciate the finer things in life, right? And by the finer things, I don't mean gold or the material accoutrements that we tend to try to congregate around ourselves. But instead, I'm talking about the budding of a flower. Stop and smell the roses. Pet the dogs. Roll around with them. Hug them. Play with them. Enjoy the small things of life, because in that is where you find the beauty of the trial, right? Life is a trial. It's not a prison. Like, you're not sentenced to something here. You're here for the experience of something. Well, experience it. Experience it in all of its wonder and all of its beauty, because there is something amazing about planting a seed and watching it grow until it gives you fruit. There is something beautiful about watching an animal play. There's something beautiful about watching a child play. There's something beautiful about watching someone cry. There is beauty in every single thing. We live amongst so many wonders. Everything is wonderful. Some of the things suck. Even some of the wonderful things suck. But if you learn to embrace it, then you become a happier person. Then you live more in accordance with what you were called to do. Hippocrates cured many illnesses and then fell ill and died. The Chaldeans predicted the deaths of many others. In due course, their own hour arrived. Alexander, Pompey, Caesar, who utterly destroyed so many cities, cut down so many thousand foot and horse in battle, they too departed this life. Heraclitus often told us the world would end in fire, but it was moisture that carried him off. He died smeared with cow shit. Democritus was killed by ordinary vermin. Socrates by the humankind. And you boarded, you set sail, you've made the passage. Time to disembark. If it's for another life, well, there's nowhere without gods on that side either. If to nothingness, then you no longer have to put up with pain and pleasure, or go on dancing attendance with this battered crate, your body, so much inferior to that which serves it. One is mind and spirit, the other earth and garbage. And again, this is don't fear death, but rather embrace life. You will not get out of life alive. It is not a possibility. You will not get out alive. This meat suit will stop breathing at some point. The heart will stop beating. The blood will stop flowing. But there's nothing to fear in that. It is the natural course of events. And so, live your life as though it will not happen. Live your life with full vigor and enthusiasm, and instead of anticipating that day which you do not know, live for today which you know is here. 4. Don't waste the rest of your time here worrying about other people, unless it affects the common good. It will keep you from doing anything useful. You'll be too preoccupied with what so-and-so is doing and why, and what they're saying and what they're thinking and what they're up to, and all the other things that throw you off and keep you from focusing on your own mind. You need to avoid certain things in your train of thought. Everything random, everything irrelevant, and certainly everything self-important or malicious. You need to get used to winnowing your own thoughts, so that if someone says, "What are you thinking about?" you can respond at once and truthfully that you were thinking this or thinking that. And it would be obvious at once from your answer that your thoughts were straightforward and considerate ones. The thoughts of an unselfish person, one unconcerned with pleasure and with sensual indulgence generally, with squabbling, with slander and envy, and anything else you'll be ashamed to be caught thinking. Someone like that, someone who refuses to put off joining the elect, is a kind of priest, a servant of the gods, in touch with what is within him and what keeps a person undefiled by pleasures, invulnerable to any pain, untouched by arrogance, unaffected by meanness, an athlete in the greatest of all contests, the struggle not to be overwhelmed by anything that happens, with what leaves us dyed indelibly by justice, welcoming wholeheartedly whatever comes, whatever we're assigned, not worrying too often or with any selfish motive about what other people say or do or think. He does only what is his to do and considers constantly what the world has in store for him, doing his best and trusting that all is for the best. For we carry our fate with us and it carries us. He keeps in mind that all rational things are related, and that to care for all human beings is part of being human, which doesn't mean we have to share their opinions. We should listen only to those whose lives conform to nature, and the others, he bears in mind what sort of people they are, both at home and abroad, at night as well as day, and who they spend their time with. And he cares nothing for their praise, men who can't even meet their own standards. I have seen that which you cheer, boo away. That is from a cartoon, right, bud? It is very valid. We have confirmation of it from 1300 years ago. You should be concerned with the things in your life. You should not idly leave to other people your rule or the things by which you must live by. You should be intimately involved in things of importance. But not everything is things of import. We face a turning point here in the United States of America, and I don't get into politics as much as I would like to, because for a large part I ignore those things which are not relevant to me. There are people who endorse other people. I don't care. I really don't. It doesn't matter to me who endorses Trump. It matters to me what Trump stands for. I am a Trump supporter. If you are unaware of that, you have not been tagging along at all. I am about self-determination and seizing the reins of responsibility, and there is none of that in the Democratic Party. I'm not saying that to step on any toes, although I do not apologize if it did. They don't care about nature. It tells you 13,000 years or 1,300 years ago. He bears in mind what sort of people they are, both home and abroad, by night as well as day, and whom they spend their time with. And they don't care about the nature. Well, that was not nearly as relevant then as it is now. We have people now who will argue about biological imperatives. There are things that are immutable facts. There are exceptions to every rule. I know, I understand. But for the most part, and by the most part I mean 99.99% of human existence, there are two genders, male and female. Some are born with confusion. That is true. Right? There are some people who are born with two different sex objects. That does not mean that they are the rule. They are the exception to the rule. They are a mutation from the species, and while contained in the species, they are very much like an albino. There's a little bit something not correct. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily evil or anything of that nature, but if you are born with an Audi, you are an Audi. It is that simple. If you are born with an innie, you are an innie. It is that simple, and you should not give any time whatsoever to those who do not believe that. The things that are important in our life right now are existential. That is extremely hyperbolic. No, it's not. There is a very clear choice delineated. Communism and freedom. That is undisputable. You can dispute it, but you will not have an argument. There is one side actively calling for the control of you, and one side actively calling for the freedom for you. The choice is clear. The choice is very clear. And you don't have to choose the same way I do. I'm not going to hate you. I will pray for you the same way that I have prayed for Joe Biden by name every single day of his presidency. Every single day I have prayed for his betterment. Every single day. And I will continue to do so until he leaves office. And whoever the next president is, I will do the same thing. There are things of national import, though, and you play your part in that. You get to make a decision. If you are a United States citizen over the age of 18 years old and with your mental capacity, you can walk into the voting booth and you can cast your vote where it needs to be. I've said where mine needs to be. You don't have to agree. That is the extent of your involvement. You don't get to say, well, it didn't go my way, so it's not going my way. I will not go along with it. I did not vote for Joe Biden. I voted against Joe Biden very emphatically. But when he got the office, he got the prayer. The other guy still gets the prayer too. But he got the prayer for the office that he is in, because he is bearing the responsibility for my country, and I want my country to go in this direction. And even though he is in this direction, I am still praying for him to take it in this direction. That is my involvement. I don't get involved in whether or not his son slept with a hooker or smoked crack. Those are true things, but they ain't got nothing to do with me. That's not where my decisions lie. I'm not involved in the gossip and the backbiting. I'm not involved in breaking people down or being petty. Those are all choices that I made in alignment with this. Worry about the things that are important. Stand where you need to stand, and if it doesn't go your way, still stand there. That does not mean to get violent unless violence is enacted upon you and you have the right to defend yourself, but you have a part to play here on this planet. There is something for you to do, and part of that is taking charge of yourself. We have a lot of people here in this country who vote and have no clue. I do not say that lightly. I am here to dispense wisdom. I am not here to denigrate anyone. But if you vote at all based upon race, you're a racist. If you vote at all based upon genitalia, you are a sexist. If you vote based upon immutable characteristics, then you are an ist. It is not up for question. Doesn't matter what shade it is. If you vote based on the shade, you're a racist. You shouldn't do that. Vote upon policies. Educate yourself on where they stand and then vote on that. Because there's a lot of people out there voting for the color of skin or for the genitalia, and they don't know what they're doing. They are possibly condemning themselves to a very not nice place. Now, I firmly believe, and I'm going to say this with no equivocation whatsoever, we face the choice right now between freedom and communism. Right? I can make the arguments as to why, but not the least of which is it came out of their mouths. That is an existential threat. If communism is enacted upon this continent, in this country, there are some very difficult decisions to make. And while I may die under communism, I will not live under it. That is where I will stand. That is of import. But I don't care about somebody's personal love life. I don't care where you put your genitals. I don't care what you decide to do with your money if you're not harming other people, and most especially children. I really don't care what you do with you. That is not my import. What is important is to know the things which you lend your energy to. I'm lending my energy to Trump 2024. I do that every single chance that I can because I do believe that that is the best way forward. But you don't have to agree with me. Do not arbitrarily involve yourself in stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff that I don't agree with, and I'm going to call out a name here. And by a name, it is not a real name, but you may recognize it. There's a guy out there called the Jolly Green Ginger. And while this past week he has demonstrated to the entirety of the world just what a piece of garbage that he actually is. I knew that way back because he was involved in this. His whole career, how he got famous as being antagonistic. It's getting involved in other people's gossip and backbiting. So I just blocked him. Right? He has been blocked from me. He was the reason I found the block button on TikTok. Was for him. I was like, this guy is a horrible person, and I do not want to see his face. I can't get away from it now because of all of the stitches and things, but that's the attitude to have. This person is a terrible person. I'm not going to associate with that. I didn't go make a stitch and call him out. I wasn't doing no duets. I wasn't making no videos about the Jolly Green Giant, except this one right here. But that is to show a point. Not really even to call him out. I say the name so that you can have the reference point. I don't care what you do with that. His whole career was, we got the tea. They made it public. Let's make it publicer. Like, his whole bearing, everything about him was bitter and bitchy. There's no reason for me to be involved with that. It is not existential to be involved in someone else's tea. Don't be. Do yourself. Care for the people who care for you and the people who can meet their own standards. Don't deal with a hypocrite. Call him out and leave him alone. That is all that you need to do. 5. How to act. Never under compulsion, out of selfishness, without forethought, and with misgivings. Yes. Don't be compelled to do anything. The worst that can happen to you is you die, and you're going to do that anyway. Don't be selfish. Live accordance with the 8 laws of creation, and your life will be a whole lot better. Always give proper thought to whatever action you are taking, and don't misgive, right? That means don't act if you feel like you shouldn't. Don't gussy up your thoughts. They should be sufficient. No surplus words or unnecessary actions. Now, that is a personality trait, right? That is one of the defining characteristics by which I do my MBTI system. Some people cannot help themselves. They are informative. They have to tell you the whole story 2 or 3 times with all kinds of embellishments. Some people are direct, and they don't. That is a difference between people, but it is not necessarily bad. It can be, right? If you're throwing out words that have no meaning, or if you're just explaining for the hell of it, you're kind of just wasting time. It's not necessarily condemnatory, but it is not something that you should invest yourself in. Me over here, I tell you all of the time, this is me working on my informative. I am extremely direct, right? When you go back to my first videos, I did not explain myself at all in almost anything. I said things and that was it. I'm better at it now because I am actively working on it, but that is because I had to add the surplus words. I have to try to explain it in a different way, or else I am not doing what I am supposed to be doing here. But even still, me working on my informative, I very rarely repeat myself. I just use more words to get that point out in its fullness. Let the spirit in you represent a man, an adult, a citizen, a Roman, and a ruler, taking up his post like a soldier and waiting patiently for his recall from life, needing no oath or witness. That is a reiteration of all the beginning, right? Represent yourself as a man. Don't be coerced into things. Know what you are doing. And my rant on citizenship is definitely applicable here. We were getting close to the fall of the empire. Cheerfulness without requiring other people's help or serenity supplied by others. And to stand up straight, not straightened. That goes back into being a man and taking life with equanimity, right? We don't need to really expand upon that. You should be doing whatever it is you are called to do cheerfully. 6. If, at some point in your life, you should come across anything better than justice, honesty, self-control, courage, then a mind satisfied that it has succeeded in enabling you to act rationally and satisfied to accept what's beyond its control, if you find anything better than that, embrace it without reservations. It must be an extraordinary thing indeed, and enjoy it to the full. Now, what I'm doing here is attempting to give you all of those things. And I agree, if you find anything better, you should definitely jump on it. But in nothing presents itself that's superior to the spirit that lives within, the one that has subordinated individual desires to itself, that discriminates among impressions, that has broken free of physical temptations, as Socrates used to say, and subordinated itself to the gods, and looks out for a human being's welfare. If you find that there's nothing more important or valuable than that, then don't make room for anything but it. For anything that might lead you astray, tempt you off of the road, and leave you unable to devote yourself completely to achieving the goodness that is uniquely yours. It would be wrong for anything to stand between you and obtaining goodness as a rational being and a citizen. Anything at all. The applause of the crowd, high office, wealth, or self-indulgence. All of them may seem compatible with it for a while, but suddenly they control us and sweep us away. So make your choice straightforwardly once and for all, and stick to it. Choose what's best. Best is what benefits me. As a rational being, then follow through. Or just as an animal. Then say so and stand your ground without making a show of it. Just make sure you've done your homework first. There is a reason why before I begin a segment, we do groundwork, right? Pretty much any one of my videos, like I don't do standalone videos a lot outside of the reactions. Most of them are several in a series, right? This is a several in a series. If you go back to the first of the meditations video, it's the groundwork. It's the history. It is understanding the time frame in which the writing was done, the cultural and political situation in which it was formulated. It is the same for the infinite integrations. It is the same for MBTI. It is the same for anything that I do. I try to make sure that the homework is done. The Bible study, again, I had an introduction. And then we did the Bible. We read through in the same way that I am doing here and discussed the things in the same manner that I am doing here. There are things I agree with. There are things that I do not agree with. But I stand on them. I have done this. What do you mean? I don't watch TV. I don't watch any of that garbage that is on Netflix or Amazon or any of the network TVs. I don't watch the things that come out in the movie theaters. I don't watch the garbage that is spewed. I have removed myself from that. It does not suit my spirit. It's pretty horrible, the propaganda that is spewed every single day on these platforms, and I do not like it, so I remove myself from it. I don't associate with people who lie. I don't associate with people who cheat on their spouse. I do not associate with people who steal. Like, I don't do that. I remove myself. I don't condemn them. I don't go out there and scream and rant and cry. I just remove me. Now, in a situation such as this one where I am an example, then I have to be that example. I have to talk about those things, but I'm not out there on ABC's page talking about the things that they do. I'm not on Netflix's page talking about the things that they do. I am here talking about the things that I do. I stand for something. I do fully, with my whole chest. I stand for God every single day. I'm out here telling you God is real and everybody has got the wrong idea about them. Right? All of the control systems are pretty much flawed. That doesn't mean they're entirely wrong. There are good things in them, but there are a lot of bad things in them too. And so I have removed myself from those. If you go through my videos and it says steel toe alert on the thumbnail or in the title, it's because I'm going to step on somebody's toes by doing just that. There's a lot of those in the Bible. I step on a lot of toes in that Bible study, and it is not intentional, but I do not apologize for it. Make sure you do your homework first. Never regard something as doing you good if it makes you betray a trust, or lose your sense of shame, or makes you show hatred, suspicion, ill will, or hypocrisy, or a desire for things best done behind closed doors. If you can privilege your own mind, your guiding spirit, and your reverence for its powers, that should keep you clear of dramatics of wailing and gnashing of teeth. You won't need solitude or a cast of thousands either. Above all, you'll be free of fear and desire. And how long your body will contain the soul that inhabits it will cause you not a moment's worry. If it's time for you to go, leave willingly, and as you would to accomplish anything that can be done with grace and honor. And concentrate on this your whole life long, for your mind should be in the right state, the state a rational civic mind should be in. And this is a reiteration of what we just did, right? But never do regard something as good if it makes you betray a trust, lose your sense of shame, or makes you show hatred, suspicion, ill will, hypocrisy, or a desire for things best done behind closed doors. I have a saying that fits right here, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. If you have to do it in hiding, then it's probably not worth doing. That doesn't mean that you should have sexual relations with your wife in front of a bunch of people, right? That is not hiding, that is private. But, for instance, if you're fond of nose candy, as I used to be, and you have to hide that from your spouse, as I used to do, then it's probably not the correct thing to be doing. It is the same for pretty much anything. If you have to hide it and nobody can know about it, then it's the wrong thing to do. That's what I was telling you. In all cases, if you have to hide it, it's probably the wrong thing to do. There are times for secrecy. There are times for privacy. That is true. But as a generalized rule. 8. The mind of one set straight and purified. No pus, no dirt, no scabs. And not a life cut short by death, like an actor who stops before the play is done, the plot wound up. Neither servility nor arrogance, neither cringing nor disdain, neither excuses nor invasions. This is a keep, I guess. Keep a mind of one set straight and purified. No pus, no dirt, no scabs. Now, some of these are not full expressions of what he was saying, right? Some of this is, right? This is a live your life as though, not a life cut short by death, like an actor who stops before the play is done and the plot wound up. Neither servility nor arrogance, neither cringing nor disdain, neither excuses nor evasions. Live your life fully and then take account for the things that you do. Do not be overly bragging, right? No arrogance, but neither servile, neither. If you are overly humble, right? If you are humble to the point of excess, then you are doing yourself no favors. There is absolutely room for humility on this planet. God knows that. But there are things to be proud of. If you have been sober, if you're fighting the battle with sobriety and you're sober, that is something to be proud of. There's no reason to be humble about that. But there's no reason to be prideful either, right? It is an accomplishment that you have. Be proud of it, but not like overly proud. No excuses or evasions. If I have done it, I will tell you I've done it. 9. Your ability to control your thoughts. Treat it with respect. It's all that protects your mind from false perceptions, false to your nature and that of all rational beings. It's what makes thoughtfulness possible and affection for other people and submission to the divine. Free will is absolutely important for submission. 10. Forget everything else. Keep hold of this alone and remember it. Each of us lives only now, this brief instant. The rest has been lived already or is impossible to see. The span we live is small. Small as the corner of earth in which we live it. Small as even the greatest renown, passed from mouth to mouth by short-lived stick figures, ignorant alike of themselves and those long dead. You only live here and now, that is true. You should be seeking to live the best life that you can fully right now. Does that mean you're going to be able to do it? Probably not, especially not right away, right? Becoming the best you is going to require you trudging through things that are not going to be pleasant. And so you do have to live in the moment, but you do need to plan for the future, right? If you are only living for the moment, if the only moment is now, then you will not be paying attention to the things in the future in which you need to pay attention. You're not saving to buy a house, or you're not properly planning for the days when you can no longer work. That is almost certainly true. But you should not only live for those things. If all of your money is going to retirement and you don't do anything pleasurable right now, you're doing life wrong. 11. To the standbys above, add this one. Always to define whatever it is we perceive, to trace its outline so we can see what it really is, its substance, stripped bare, as a whole, unmodified, and to call it by its name, the thing itself and its components, to which it will eventually return. Nothing is so conducive to spiritual growth as this capacity for logical and accurate analysis of everything that happens to us. To look at it in such a way that we understand what need it fulfills and in what kind of world, and its value to the world as a whole and to man in particular, as a citizen of that higher city of which all other cities are mere households. What is it, this thing that now forces itself on my notice? What is it made up of? How long was it designed to last? And what qualities do I need to bring to bear on it? Tranquility, courage, honesty, trustworthiness, straightforwardness, independence, or what? So in each case you need to say, this is due to God, or this is due to the interweavings and intertwinings of fate, to coincidence or chance, or this is due to a human being, some of the same race, of the same birth, the same society, but who doesn't know what nature requires of him. But I do, and so I'll treat them as the law that binds us, the law of nature requires, with kindness and with justice. And in inconsequential things, I'll do my best to treat them as they deserve. This again is taking life as it comes. I believe that life is a lesson. I don't know if that was this video or the last one that I did. We did an extensive talk about it. I think it was the last video. But you are meant to embrace this life. Part of that is taking the bad things as part of the lesson. You are meant to learn things. Some of those are really, really tough lessons. I was molested as a child. That was a lesson. Now, people get upset when I talk about this. I don't care. I believe that what happened was that I agreed before we got here that I was going to be the temptation for that man. And he failed epically in his purpose of desire of resisting that temptation. And because of that, both of our lives went off in two completely different directions. Now, I could sit around and I could ruminate on the event that happened, and I could make that my entire life and be bitter about it and condemn all people, or I could take that as the lesson it was. Remain in safe situations is a lesson. When I received that lesson, I was in no position to oppose that lesson, right? I was 5 years old, roughly, maybe 4 or 5. It's a little bit fuzzy in there, but I could have, for the rest of my life, continued on being a victim of that thing. But my lesson in that was, because he failed in his lesson, my lesson was learning to deal with the after effects of that. I have learned that. I have dealt with that, and I am teaching others how to deal with that. That is taking that as part of the will of God. And that's a hard part for people. What do you mean it was the will of God that you got raped as a child? That's a hard one, right? But it's true. That doesn't mean that God desired it. It just means that he makes the best out of a bad situation. You can do the same thing. You can take that bad situation and turn it around. Not everything that happens to you will be fair. As a matter of fact, a lot of it won't be. And you can either choose to be bitter behind it, or you can choose to be better because of it. That is your choice. There's only the two choices. Figure out which one you're going to make. 12. If you do the job in a principled way with diligence, energy, and patience, if you keep yourself free of distractions and keep the spirit inside you undamaged, as if you might have to give it back at any moment, if you can embrace this without fear or expectation, can find fulfillment in what you're doing now, as nature intended, and in superhuman truthfulness, every word, every utterance, then your life will be happy. No one can prevent that. This is relatively new in my life. Right? And by relatively new, I mean in the last decade or so. Doing the job in a principled way was not always me. Right? I got kicked out of the Navy because I was not a good sailor, because I was not principled. I did not do things with diligence, energy, and patience. I am better at it these days, but I am still not there. Distractions happen all the time, and I am better also at resisting those. But my spirit is undamaged. That is true, but it is again a relative thing. There was a time when I was despondent. There was a time when I tried to take myself home. There was a time when I lived the opposite of how you were supposed to live. Nowadays, it's a little bit different for me. I have a whole path that I am on. I am showing people things, and I am talking about things, and I do not mean any of them. When I talk to y'all, I have a 300% honesty policy on this channel. I don't mention it as often as I probably should, but it is true. I am honest 100% with my God. I am honest 100% with myself. And I am honest 100% with my crew. That keeps me happy. I fully embrace this. Right? I have things that I want out of life. But if I go home today, that's fine. I have done wonderful things. There have been people who did not send themselves home because of what I do here. That is absolutely wonderful to me. I cannot even express how much better for me that is than any monetary gain. It makes me happy. But it is only possible because I live with superhuman truthfulness. It means I have to step on toes sometimes, and it means I can't apologize for it when I do it. But if I do the job in a principled way, with diligence, energy, and patience, keep myself free from distractions, and keep my spirit undamaged, I will live happy. I believe that. I am living that. 13. Doctors keep their scalpels and other instruments handy for emergencies. Keep your philosophy ready too, ready to understand heaven and earth, and everything you do, even the smallest thing. Remember the chain that links them. Nothing earthly succeeds by ignoring heaven, and nothing heavenly by ignoring the earth. That is true. Find the balance. 14. Stop drifting. You're not going to reread your brief comments, your deeds of the ancient Greeks and Romans, the commonplace books you saved for your old age. Sprint for the finish. Write off your hopes, and if your well-being matters to you, be your own savior while you can. Life is better if you have a purpose. I preach that all of the time. I am telling people all of the time, find what you really are called to do. There is something that you really can, only you can do. It may be writing a book, right? It may be working the same job for the entirety of your life. You could be a welder, and your calling can be welding, and you can be the best welder ever. That can be your calling. But if it is, then you're not going to get there by drifting. I am a drifter. I searched long for this path, right? I am on a path now, and I am not completely satisfied with it, right? What I do here, this reading, I love it, right? This interaction, this talking about it, this exposition of truth amidst many confusions. I love all of that, but it is not the end-all be-all of what I am trying to do here. I have a goal and a vision for this channel. And it is not just for me to become successful. That is part of it. Part of my calling is going to be success. It is going to come because I am diligent. It is because I am energetically invested. It is because I am truthful. Those things will happen. If I don't go home, then I will be successful. But it is not the point of what I do to be successful. In part it is because I do want things. I want money, but I want money to give it away. Right? If you are unaware of what I am doing here, let me give you a brief rundown of the Pittman plan over here. Right? My name is Pitt, but it's short for Pittman. I want this channel to grow. And the reason for that is the monetization. I would love to be able to replace the income that I have from Social Security. I am injured and I cannot hold a standard job, right? There are times when I have to go lay down between these videos. My back is in bad shape. It is getting better. I am working diligently towards that too. But as of now, I can't go to even an office job. It's just most people can't make the accommodations that I would need, and I cannot expect them to. But I want this channel to be successful because I have more goals. I have something in the future that I want. I want to take the money here after my bills are paid, and I want to invest it in my game that I am building. If you are unaware, I am building a game based off of Atlantis. It is in the Unreal Engine. I work on it not as diligently as I could because there are parts that I can't do on my own. I need to be able to pay somebody for parts of the game. I can do some of it. The storyline, that's mine. The characters, the lands, all of the things about it, that's mine. But somebody else is going to have to help me with the animations. Somebody else is going to have to help me with these spell effects. Somebody else is going to have to help me with the landscaping. I can't do all of it on my own, and I want to be able to pay people to be able to do that. So I want this channel to be successful so that I can pay to have the game made. But the game is not the goal either. After that game, I have another game. And both of those games are going to something else. I'm going to invest the profits from those into a store. I can't get into the details because it is a unique concept. It is something that has not been done anywhere else, and it will be successful when I get the money. But I gotta have the money to do it, and that comes from the game. But the store is not the end either. I'm going to take the money from the game and build the store, and then the money from the store is going to a school. My goal on this planet is to help people learn things. If you don't know that, I don't know why you're here, because that's what we're doing here, right? I want to help people who were failed by us. And by us, I mean my society, the United States of America. We have failed in education, and I want to take people who we have failed and help them. I want a school for people who are in prison and see no other way out and want to change their life. I want to give them that opportunity. I want to see people who are homeless and want to change their life. I want to give them that opportunity. I want to help teach them about life, the things that we talk about on this channel. Not everybody has the diligence to go through these videos. Even though I am dispensing knowledge and wisdom and enlightenment like candy, I am throwing it like it's a Mardi Gras parade. Throw me something, mister. I want to teach them how to do taxes and how to form an LLC. I want to teach them a craft. Well, if I've got a video game studio, I can teach them to build video games. If I have a store, I can teach them to work the store. If I have whatever other businesses are attached, and there will be other businesses attached, I want to help teach people how to live life to the fullest. Grab the reins of responsibility for yourself. Quit fucking drifting. Drifting is our problem. Finding the goal can help you to change your life, and that's what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to help people with what they want. I want to help them stop drifting. It's real. That is literally my goal, and I understand that sounds crazy to people. I want to be the example of ethical capitalism. That's the goal. I want to show that it can be done in a different way than we do it. I want to invest all of my money into other people. But I don't want to take other people's money to do that. I will, but I don't want to. I want to do that with my money, my intellectual property, my profits from my work. I want to invest in other people. Because I'm not a communist, I'm a capitalist. And I think that capitalism is the way to get it done. I want to help people stop drifting. That is my goal in this life, and that is how I stopped drifting. It's not about rereading the books that you already have. It's about finding the new ones. 15. They don't realize how much is included in stealing, sowing, buying, resting, seeing the business, not with the eyes, but another kind of sight. Body, soul, mind. Sensations, the body. Desires, the soul. Reasoning, the mind, which is also the soul. To experience sensations, even grazing beasts do that. To let your desires control you, even wild animals do that, and rutting humans and tyrants, from Phalaris to Nero. To make your mind your guide to what seems best. Even people who deny the gods do that. Even people who betray their country. Even people who do whatever behind closed doors. If all the rest is common coin, then what is unique to the good man? To welcome with affection what is sent by fate. Not to stain or disturb the spirit within him with a mess of false beliefs. Instead, to preserve it faithfully by calmly obeying God. Saying nothing untrue, doing nothing unjust. And if the others don't acknowledge it, this life lived with simplicity, humility, cheerfulness, he doesn't resent them for it. and isn't deterred from following the road where it leads to the end of life. An end to be approached with purity, in serenity, and acceptance, in peaceful unity with what must be. And so we end Book 3 with, again, something that I hope, pray, wish, invest my energy in, that I am living. Whatever God sends me, at least in the last decade, especially in the last 4 years, I have accepted. Not just accepted, but embraced. I grab the reins of responsibility. I am running into my future. I am seeking as much responsibility as I can. And if the bad things happen, okay, we will deal with it. Whatever it is. I have had bad things happen to me. Despite, outside of what happened when I was a kid, right? I was injured in a car wreck. It was not my fault. I was out when I shouldn't have been. That was my fault. I was out in the middle of a hurricane. But I was injured by someone else who did not follow the rules of the road. That's what happened to me. I had to accept that. Not only accept that, but understand that that was part of my process. That was part of the lesson that I had to learn. I was prideful in my strength. I always said I am stronger, faster, and smarter than you. I was prideful, and I got stricken down in my pride. I am not fast anymore. I am not nearly as strong as I used to be. I still have a good bit of cognitive ability, thank the Lord, but I try to be a little bit more humble in it these days. I do have knowledge that other people do not. That is true. But that knowledge is not from me. That knowledge is revealed to me, and I have to keep that in the foremost part of my mind. What I do here, it may seem a little arrogant the way that I come off, but if you don't believe anything else, believe this. It is with the utmost humility that I offer you all of this information. It is not from me, but rather through me that this information comes. The things that I say, I hope, are divinely inspired voice of God coming through me. Not that I am his spokepiece, but that he can use me as a tool. That is my honest desire with it. As much as I have my plans, if they don't come to fruition, that's fine. I still have them, and if I never see them, I will be perfectly fine chasing them. I will accept either success or failure equally. I don't resent people for not understanding what I say. I hope I make that clear as well, right? You are perfectly able to pick up anything that I say and run with it, and you are perfectly able to dismiss whatever. I am not here to convince you. I'm here to tell, not convince. I am here to inform and not cajole. I'm not here to tell you that you're dumb for not listening to me. I will tell you if I find your belief a little bit silly. But that doesn't mean you're wrong even. I could be wrong. Some silly things come true, and I don't mind being wrong in anything. I have been corrected so many times, and I am grateful for every single one. Anybody that brings me true knowledge, I hope to assimilate it into myself and dispense it right back to my crew. We should strive to complete our purpose. Now, your purpose may be aligned with mine, and we may build a school together. Or it may be completely contrary to mine in any way. I'm not going to try, or I'm going to try not to, judge you upon that. Am I going to associate with you if you are misaligned with me? No, I will not. There have been several instances already where I have shot myself in the foot, so to speak, where I have cut out things that could have brought me great success. I could have been farther on this channel if I would have chosen a different path, and I choose not to follow that path. I am following this one wherever God may lead me. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion to a series of somewhat difficult topics. I am here, hopefully, casting light on some of the things. Most of this, to me, is self-explanatory, but some people it's not. I am here for you. If you are not clear, let me know. If I need to do more, let me know. If there's another book you would like to see, let me know. I am here to help. That is literally my mission. All the way through. Everything that I get is invested in that. All of my energy is invested in this. I want for us all to rise. I believe that there is enough for us all to rise. I don't believe in the scarcity. If you like what I'm doing over here, let me know down below. Give me a like, share, and a sub. Throw me a comment if you agree or disagree. If it remains respectful, it gets to remain up. And if you really like it, hit me with that super thanks, because I am not a communist. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete, just the way that you are. And this has been Pitt's Take. Peace.